Hello, Steeler Nation. Welcome to your Steeler Nation Vidcast, powered by the Big Play Vidcast Network, sponsored by Total Sports Enterprises. I'm your host, G.Stryker, with you as well for another week of venting and talking Steelers football. Great to have you guys, too, on Instagram over here on the simulcast. Obviously, I'm not going to be taking live video today because I've got the simulcast going as well on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, on multiple platforms. So, ask questions away, though. I will be happy as hell to answer. And I see you guys have that up there. Yo, how you doing, Prime Time? How you guys doing? Good to see you. Evening. Awesome. And this is your show. So any questions you got, any comments, we're talking. I know we feel bad saying trash or saying we suck. Even my cat's happy about it. She's a Bengals fan, so she's jumping on my lap tonight, rubbing it in. But it's the way we are. It's the way it is right now. We'll get to a lot of it. Talking with Michael Hall. We are live. Thank you, Michael Hall, for starting off the show. Yes, we got a new linebacker, Michael Hall. Just picked up old favorite Ola Adeniyi. He was released from the Titans squad today. Or the day before, he cleared waivers. So Steelers picked him up after he cleared waivers. We're not responsible for his salary. It's going to be a whole new salary with Ola, but since he cleared waivers, we have to find out whether he's going to be put on the practice squad or whether he's put directly to the roster. My inkling is he's going to be going on the practice squad, only because we just picked up a new guy. Wormley is lost for the season. He just went in for surgery for his ACL. There's no way he's coming back. I know people aren't saying it yet, but if he's going in for ACL surgery in December, unfortunately, he's not coming back. I'm happy, though, that we were able to poach another player off of the Jets practice squad, good defensive lineman, and Jonathan Marshall. He's a guy the Steelers were looking at in the draft process. Good to have him back in here and see how he can work into the system. Knowles, I love how the Steelers, though, no hate. I hear you there. Who would we take in our first pick of the draft? Still depends on where we're going to be, Badger. I don't know if we're still drafting like in the middle of the draft, depending on how we win out, or if we're going to be around the top 10. If we're around the top 10, hopefully we can get an offensive tackle that can be our blindside offensive tackle for our franchise quarterback. That is a necessity. We need somebody better than we have there now, and it's time to start picking up that location. But if you can still get the shutdown corner, a really talented safety, that's what you pick around that range. Like, we're not picking quarterback this year. Kenny Pickett's our guy. So I was hoping if we were going to lose out, if we were in the top 5, we'd have room to move back, bank some picks, and do well there. But this year, it's probably not going to work out that way. What's up, Phil? Good to hear from you again, my friend. G4 like a G6. Julia, what's the cat's name? This is Lexi. Lexi is a Bengals fan. You see her stripe. She is a pixie bob. She lacks a tail because she is too cool for it. That's part of the breed. It's basically a way to overcharge for a Tabby Manx crossbreed, essentially. Robert Tamburo, friend of the show. How you doing, Robert? Do you think the Steelers coaching would be better if we had former Steelers who are now coach is doing well on other teams on the Steelers staff instead of who we have? Well, that can be a two-way question. I mean, there are some former Steelers that we did have on our roster. Joey Porter, he didn't work out. I forget the defensive backs guy that we had on our roster or that we had on our coaching staff for a bit before he moved on. But that was like about 10 years ago. I don't think being a Pittsburgh Steeler makes you a good Steelers coach. I think that's a reason why the Rooneys did not entertain the chance of even bringing in Mean Joe Green when Cowher's contract, or when we were time to find somebody to replace Knoll. So that aspect of it, you don't know. I mean, it's still a crapshoot. You don't know if they're going to do well. You don't know if they're not going to do well. I'm open to trying it. Hines Ward, we'll have to see how he does in a head coaching position because he hasn't been a head coach yet. Same thing with Rod Woodson, who are now going to be head coaches in the XFL. So I'm really interested to watch those games. So it'll be fun to see. They actually know what the standard is. There's the dig there, Robert. Good to have you back on the show, my friend. Michael, story of the week. Quarterback obliterations injury now. Yeah. This Kenny Pickett injury is a big deal. It's his second concussion this season. Steelers are going to be handling this with baby gloves because it's his second concussion this season. If you get compounding concussions early in someone's career, it becomes an issue throughout their entire career. Troy Aikman ended up getting it. But he played in the tough era where they didn't care about concussions. They just sent you back out on the field if you could see and you could walk. And he's paying for it now. So, that's not the way you want to end up living down the road, but that's the way it is. Yep. And Michael Hall, I want a left tackle in the draft always. Can I say something about the Steelers? Of course you can, Mac, but we're not taking any live video feeds. Put it down in the comment section. I'm trying to get to it. What do you think about Rudolph versus Trubisky? That was my big point and the big thing I wanted to talk about on the show today. So good for you to ask here, Old Soul 42. Love to hear that kind of stuff. I like Trubisky's athleticism. Him coming in and throwing 3 interceptions, I wasn't expecting. He was doing a good job of hitting the receivers down the field. I was at least enjoying seeing that because when Kenny's in there, I'm like, well, we're not going to be throwing downfield much. But at least when Trubisky came in, I was like, oh, we're going to throw down the field. But now we're at the point of the season. It's like, hey, let's see what we got in Rudolph. To tell you the truth, like I'm just saying, I know he's been on the roster. I know he can run this offense. He wins in this offense. He's got the best winning record of all 3 of these quarterbacks in this offense. So, yeah, it's probably about time for me. If we want to win, put Rudolph in. If we want to lose, put in Trubisky. I don't know. Trubisky still has a chance of winning. Don't get me wrong. I think he's an athletic guy. I think he can be a great quarterback. But it's just odd the way that Trubisky came into this game throwing 3 interceptions in relief when Kenny went down, switched with Kenny when he first came into a game after Trubisky went down in that Jets game, and he threw 3 interceptions. So it's an interesting juxtaposition. There's a big SAT word from the old days about that, but interesting to think about. Crike. Did I just lose it or did it drop? Son of a gun. I think I just lost my feed. There it is. Am I still here? Good. I was messing around with stuff. I didn't know how it dropped. But that's what I'm thinking right now. I go with Rudolph for this week. Putting my feet to the fire. Mac, can I say something about the Steelers? Yes, you can. You just have to type it in. Hugh, what do you say are our top 2 needs to address to get better? I'm always saying offensive lineman, but I'll split that up. I still think we need a stud left tackle, no matter what. That's our number 1. Number 2, we need an athletic center because that's what the Steelers offenses from the mid-1960s with Ray Mansfield all the way up through what we had 3 years ago before Pouncey started dropping. We had the most athletic, strongest centers in the league. Guys you can build a line around, and Steelers are usually really good about making sure they've got like this keystone guy in the center to be able to run our offense and have the entire line play off of what the center's doing. Right now, Cole, I'm not saying he's bad at all. He's playing on 1 foot. I think Cole can be better than what he's showing, but every week it's like, well, Cole, you're not practicing on Tuesday. You're walking in a boot on Monday, not practicing on Wednesday, limited on Thursday, limited on Friday, playing game day. I'm giving it up for Cole's toughness and his ability to be game ready on game day. But if he was 100% healthy, I think he'd be a much better center than we're seeing out of him, even though I'm not seeing a horrible one right now. See you soon, Audrey. Awesome. What do you think about Mason Rudolph, Adam? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying try out Mason. Went to my first game Sunday. Great to hear from that star. That's awesome. Hope you had a great time. I'm sorry I couldn't make it. I was planning on going, but I've been traveling. I was away for a week in Louisiana at the Louisiana Renaissance Fair where my brother's a blacksmith, and I was down there helping him out for a week. And so I was dead tired when I drove home. It took me 2 days to drive back home, and I was just like, I can't travel again this week. Gave my tickets away to some friends, and they had a good time. What are the chances that Pickett plays this week? Phil, it all has to go with the concussion protocol. Concussion protocol is simple to watch and read. If you don't have symptoms, you can practice. If you practice and you clear practice, you pass the first step of concussion protocol. If you come back the next day and you're good, you can practice the second day. If you clear the second day's practice fully, then you're off of concussion protocol. So that is the protocol. We have to just see if he practices this week or has the ability to practice this week. But the way that I'm feeling, the way that Mike Tomlin was talking in his presser and just getting his body motions and the inkling of how he was saying things, not what he was saying, it makes me think that I don't think Kenny's going to practice starting off on Wednesday. So that means he's a big question mark going into the game for this week. So that's what we'll have to see. Robert, Hines Ward asked to be on our wide receiver coaching, and Mike Tomlin told him no, and the same with Kevin Green, and the list goes on with Byron Leftwich to great former Steelers defensive backs who are doing great coaching. I was big to bring in Hines Ward as well. I really wanted Hines Ward to be a coach on this team, but I thought there was something else, and it wasn't necessarily just I think it was Antonio Brown being on our roster was the reason why Ward would not coach here the first time, because they didn't like each other. So that was not a big secret in the room either. He just had jobs then afterward when we were trying to find other wide receiver coaches. He would have been a great addition. I agree with that completely. But, Byron Leftwich, those guys interviewed other places. It's not like they all interview in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh has other jobs that are already filled. It's tough to go through coaching until the contracts are up in Pittsburgh, and that's just the way it normally goes. Joey Porter was never doing great coaching in the NFL before Tomlin brought him in. I'm talking about how many former Steelers now doing great NFL coaching, and that's a good thing. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not a negative to Tomlin. It's a positive for Steelers players that want to still continue their NFL careers as coaches. We have a bunch of them still as broadcasters. Merrill Hodge, Bradshaw, Cower, you got them all over the place there as well. So it's just Pittsburgh breeds the type of player that loves football, and I think that's great. Michael Hall, hate to say it, but one more and done. Absolutely. Mathematically, we have to win out to avoid a losing season. If we win 3 and tie 1, we have a 500 season, a non-losing season. Bach. Now, nobody wants to see that. Even I know Robert doesn't want to see that. But if we lose one game, officially have a losing season. That's how it comes down. That's the way it is. Pickett does have that dog in him. I do agree with that too. You never know how he's going to come back from that, Phil. But we know about Pittsburgh. We're questionable about concussions. We're worried about concussions following the hockey team, going through what we went through with Crosby, which ended up being a neck issue. And that was corrected. He hasn't had a major concussion since he had those surgeries on his neck. So that was really interesting stuff about Crosby. But you have to be really concerned when it's your franchise quarterback getting concussions. We just don't want that to be compounding upon itself the rest of the season, because getting another compound concussion on top of now 2 is really bad for your concussions moving forward and your propensity to get them in future seasons. Who should we get rid of, Mask? I haven't even thought of who we should get rid of. Coaching wise, I know we're talking about Canada. I know a bunch of people are yelling at Austin for not being able to coach the most expensive defense in history, but still, we had some inopportune injuries and bad situations with TJ Watt that affected that defense. Also, TJ Watt playing on these hurt ribs, he's not the same guy. I'm watching him in these games. He's not as explosive as he is. He's not as strong as he is, just overpowering people because he's playing with that rib injury. So you got to take it the way you got it. Pick it. It's sexy. There you go, Matt. Rudolph is greater than Mitch. Yeah, we're getting a lot of Rudolph love, guys. There was zero Rudolph love, Steeler Nation, going into this season. I wouldn't say zero. Very, very small percentage. We were on the Trubisky train. Bunch of Yinzers wanted Pickett starting out of the box. I hear you. Now, Rudolph is the old favorite. Everybody forgets about his problems, which I loved him as a starter. I thought he did a great job coming as a starter. He won. For the most part, he came in one or tied, but he won. So I liked him in there running this offense. He's probably the best deep ball quarterback on our roster. And I was saying it last year when we had Ben, because Ben lost his arm when he couldn't throw after week 10, couldn't throw the ball down the field. Rudolph has the best deep ball on the roster. I want to see him out there throwing some. I want to see Pickens out there jumping for some. That's what I want to see these next couple weeks. Whether it's Trubisky, whether it's Pickens or Rudolph, I want to see them get George Pickens in one-on-one situations and try to get them jumping downfield for those 50-50 balls. Michael Hall, hate to say it, but one and done. Yep, you got that. Good news on defense, limited passing game, under 90 yards, but the running game, you don't have to pass when you run the way the Baltimore Ravens ran. They were on their third quarterback. He only had to throw 5 passes, completed 3. He didn't have to be special on those passes because they were converting first downs on the ground, killing us at the end of the game when we knew they were running and we couldn't stop them. That's what kills you. Absolutely what kills you. You get killed in the running game every time because they're controlling the football, they're scoring, controlling the clock, getting first downs, long drives. When you jump on the field, if you go 4 and out or get a short punt, you're screwed. And that's what happened to us, along with the 3 interceptions, but still a big part of it. Ravens did their job to making sure that they stayed ahead of us. Now, if we got field goals instead of interceptions, we win that game. 9 points in our favor. That's the thing that burns me. Control the ball. Don't take the big chances. And Trubisky wasn't taking the big chances early in the season. This game he did. Joe, Steelers will tank the next 4 games. Could. They definitely could. I'm not doing live today, guys. I'm sorry because I'm on so many platforms. It's just too hectic for me because I'm running 6 platforms off of my computer as well. YouTubes and Facebooks and Twitters. We got all that stuff going on. So that's just the way it goes. Are we keeping Bush, old soul? Good question. I'm not sure. I know for a fact we did not offer him that 5th-year option. So that's the reason why he did not get a pay bonus this year. He was just paid at his normal amount, 4th-year amount. So next year, we might do what we did with Edmonds the previous season. We saw incremental increase and better play with Edmonds throughout the years that he was here. Gave him a lower than market value contract because they're like, Edmonds, go play the market. Good luck to you because there are a ton of great safeties out there last year. You had KZ, you had freaking Honey Badger. You had a bunch of great safeties out there last year. I forget the one big one that went off the right at the beginning, but he was in that pool. He was supposed to make $6 million on a 5th-year option. Steelers like, nope, you're not worth that. He wasn't. Came back on $3 million. That was worth it to me. So I'm thinking that should be the same with Devin Bush as well. We're not going to pay him his 5th-year option amount. He's not a $10 million a year inside linebacker yet. Would he come back for 4, 5, 6? Now we're talking. That would be a way I would take him back, only at the right price point. Robert, before and during the draft, I repeatedly said the Steelers need a left tackle and a nose tackle this year or else. The coaching is lying when they're saying that they think they have a championship competitor in 2022. Well, I still liked our left tackle for 2022. I'm just saying to benefit us moving forward. Moore wasn't the reason why Kenny Pickett got his dome knocked off the turf twice. So that was our interior offensive lineman. So we have necessary aspects we got to do, but nose tackle's a biggie. Alu did not come back the way we both thought he was expecting to come back. This is the year we definitely has to target a nose tackle in the draft. I agree with you 100% there. Michael Hall, unnecessary interceptions thrown by Trubisky. Definitely. So Mark Malone, welcome back to the show. Season is over, barring a Christmas miracle. Who cares about a 500 season? We need a tie for a 500 season, Mark. But at least, for the rest of the season, they're not going to make the playoff. I don't think the playoffs are out of it just because we don't have the tie break on any of the teams in front of us. And we're like 4 games out for that last playoff spot now. And that team has the tie break. So there's really no chance of us getting it. It's like a 0.0001 chance of us making the next. So we'll have the playoffs. So don't say say there's a chance. No, I'm not saying there's a chance, but there's no chance. Quoting Tomlin when asked if he's going to coach USC. Michael Hall, did you see the Jets quarterback get murdered by Bills defender? That hurt me just looking at it. Yikes. It's bad anytime anytime a quarterback takes a bad hit. Look at Alex Smith when his knee or his leg got shattered. So I got some of us old heads remember back to Joe Theismann on Monday Night Football, watching his knee bend and his leg grow an extra knee below his knee, thanks to a strong tackle by Lawrence Taylor in that game that they kept replaying ad nauseum, setting the standard for not doing that type of thing anymore because it made people watching it sick. But that's the way it goes. The greatest podcaster at 412. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, guys. Though I'm technically in the 215, I am closer to the Philadelphia, or not Philadelphia now. I lived in Philly previously. Now I'm closer to the Baltimore, D.C. area. I'm close to Frederick, Maryland. So wearing my Pittsburgh Steelers fan club of Baltimore shirt, which I got back in the late 90s. It is older than the Ravens team. Been a card-carrying member of the Pittsburgh Steelers fan club of Baltimore since I think about 93 or 94. I think I started going to those. So great things to have over there. Mark, I've been a proponent of Rudolph for 4 years. Awesome, Mark. And I do like him. I've never been throwing Rudolph under the bus either. Heck, if Joe Hayden were brought back as an assistant defensive back coach, then he could have done the classic Steelers thing and been a coach who was asked to put the uniform on and play because he was needed. But we already had a cornerback coach or secondary coach already lined up. And I don't know if Hayden ever put his hat in the ring to coach. He was trying to play. He was a free agent. Nobody signed him. He wanted to play this year. So he wasn't on the coaching train yet. So we can't do revisionist history on Joe Hayden yet, just because he hadn't. But I'd love to have Joe Hayden on the team as a coach, though he's given a lot of love to his Cleveland Brownies after he retired. So that's the way it goes. Michael Hall, give TJ time to rebuild his parts. Terminator needs to regenerate his body back to 110%. By the way, I might start calling it TJ Terminator from now on. That Terminator, call him T2J. I want him to be that liquid Terminator, getting an arm ripped off and just growing one back. Just like, he only misses a week because he had to regrow an arm. That's what I want to see. Mark Malone, yeah, Tomlin got his sheet pushed in again, just like with Tebow and Bortles in the playoffs. Though I will go to the wall every time this is brought up. They lost to Tebow. I can't believe they lost. Worst quarterback ever. I watched Tebow that entire season because he was entertaining as hell. I had the NFL Network that year. I watched every single Broncos game. And every single Broncos game was exactly like the Steelers game that I got to see them lose. Keeps the game close, not doing anything special. When it comes to the fourth quarter and overtime, bam, he makes a play and wins the game. That was Tebow. And he should have gotten a shot to be starter somewhere else. Honestly, Jacksonville should have jumped on that and tried to make him starter, but that's the way it goes. Sam, if the Steelers fire Canada, who would the Steelers look for offensive coordinator position? I know a lot of people wanted Reich when he was fired from the Colts. We know he's a good offensive coordinator. Haley's still out there. Heck, he was the best offensive coordinator statistically that we ever had. The highest the Steelers have ever finished in the season in the top 3 on offense was with Haley, and the Steelers never finished that high on offense without Haley. So that was interesting stuff. Cheers to you guys. I'm enjoying a nice non-alcoholic brew since I gave up drinking. But it's Samuel Adams, just the haze. It's the best non-alcoholic I ever had. It actually tastes just like a hazy IPA. It's freaking phenomenal. It calms me down when I'm upset, and I'm upset about these Steelers. I know you guys are too. Block field goal might have made the difference. Block field goal definitely made the difference, Michael Hall, because that stretched out the scoring, made it so we had to try to score twice as opposed to only trying to score once to take the lead at the end of the game. Could have handled it differently. Could have, done some things differently as well to make sure that we were controlling the ball a little bit more and run out some time as opposed to try to do that. /steal/! If you're the same / off of SteelerNation.com, awesome to hear from you, my friend. Steelers don't tank. They probably will split the remaining games, in my opinion. Yeah, I know that Ravens game is going to be a tough one, but we're going to have a shot of winning it. in Baltimore. The next 3 games, though, are games against losing teams. Got Carolina. We got Brownies, who we know. They know us. And I'd like to beat them once this year, to tell you the truth. I don't want to get swept by the Brownies. I don't want a Brownie swept season. Yeah, that would just be too tough on me. Really tough on me. But yeah, that's about it. I know there's somebody else. I forget who we're playing. Who do we pick up from the Titans? Oh, it's the Ola Adeniyi. He's the outside linebacker that we used to have on our roster as the number 3, number 4 rotational 3 years ago. I used to like that 2-3 years ago. So he used to be pretty good off the edge. He had pretty good get up and was doing some decent stuff. I thought he was progressing well, but we didn't pick him up from the Titans. Titans released him. He cleared waivers, and then we acquired him. So don't know if we rostered him or practice squad him. If you're asking me to bet on it right now, Striker, what are they going to say tomorrow when it comes out? How did they acquire Adeniyi? I'm going to say he's on the practice squad. Because that's the smartest play. If he clears waivers, to practice squad him because nobody else is willing to roster him, because you have to roster someone if during the waiver claim. And if you cleared waiver claim, it means nobody wanted to put him on a roster. So Steelers don't have to put him on a roster, put him on the practice squad where they can call him up for free for 2 games. No brainer. Pay him less. And we know he knows the defense. He's played well in it in the past. So I've always liked the guy. Paris Johnson or the Schrock dude. I don't know if you're talking about draft people. I don't know the names yet. And I'm not as up on you guys. I know a lot of you fans are way into it, but until I get down to my draft study before doing the draft marathon show, which if you guys know my draft marathon show, I start the show an hour before the draft and it's on the entire time. Until a little bit after the draft, we talk about it. Last day of the draft, I'm on for like 10 hours. Why? Because I stay on even when we're picking up the undrafted rookie free agents for that extra hour. That's how crazy I am on this show. So it's always like my favorite thing to do, sitting around talking with you guys, chatting back and forth like I do right now, talking about the draft. And it's super fun to have you guys as a part of that as well. Robert, back to my question. Is simple yes or no would be, bring those former Steeler coach and see instead of the current assistant coach to make Steelers better. I'm always down for bringing in a better coach, Robert, whether it's a former Steelers player or not. I don't know if that makes as big of a difference as much as somebody that really knows that position, but I'm definitely open. I'd be open to having Ward come back in and coach the wide receivers. I'd be open to have Woodson come in and coach the defensive back, but those guys are going to be head coaches in the XFL next year. I'd be fine with bringing in Hayden to be a secondary coach or an assistant secondary coach. Hell yes. I was fine when they brought it. Well, look at Jerry Olszewski, inside linebacker coach. He played on the 80s teams that I grew up watching. So I know we have coaches on this team that used to play for us. Dick Hoke, who used to be on this team forever as a running backs coach, he used to be like one of our running backs back in like the 30s or 40s or 50s, and then just stayed on as a coach for like ever. That Dick Hoke was an awesome, awesome guy to have in there. But yeah, I'm all for it. It's a yes, Robert. I'm all for that. You know that. Mark Malone, you're correct, sir. Awesome. Robert, if we brought in a drunken wino off the street corner to replace Tomlin, we'd be better off. I'm not on that ledge yet, but I'm glad you guys are having some fun. Obviously, we're getting it all out. I like Paris as I like his athleticism. Awesome. And if you're talking about left tackles, that's what I would like to see. A big, athletic, dancing bear left tackle that we can have that makes it really difficult to get to the quarterback from that side. Phil at Slash. I saw one where we were projected to picks like at 12 or something. Okay, cool. And that's basically higher than we normally are. Still room to move up. Jonathan Marshall, thoughts? If that's another draft candidate, I'm not up on my draft people yet. I won't until the end of the season. I'm concentrated on the season. Don't watch as much college, I know, as a lot of you guys do. Hashtag trade Tomlin. There we go, Robert. I know you'll always love that, and that's a great point as well. I cannot argue that if we're getting first rounders for Tomlin. Jordan, offensive tackle to the Steelers, needed to improve both sides. Last couple of years, been screaming from the highest treetop. All these fantasy football fans think getting extra wide receivers were better. Well, they made it so we can get a second-round draft pick that looks like it's nearly going to be a first-round draft pick this year. What's up, Claude? Good to have you back on the show. Yep, got to build the offensive line. And Green for sure. The F don't count. I hear you. Rudolph does indeed need to have the best deep ball on any of 4 QBs used to have had this year easily. I said all year in the preseason that Rudolph should be the number 2, no matter if the number 1 rotates or not. Whoever rotates should be at the 3rd string. Rudolph always a 2nd. I can't argue with that point of view either. That's not a bad point of view to have because Kenny Pickett being the rookie, we knew Trubisky was going to start. Having the good seasoned veteran as the backup, not a bad idea. Let Kenny hold the clipboard and learn until somebody gets hurt. Then you throw in Kenny into the rotation. That could have been a way to do it as well. Definitely see that. Therefore, consistent that Rudolph should start now. Yeah, no problem with that. Guys, it's also time that I talk about one of my favorite things to talk about every show. Talk about our private parts at manscaped.com. So go out there and get the platinum package because we don't want our balls to be falling to other hands like Trubisky keeps throwing. We want our balls taken care of well, like a nice post by Kenny Pickett. Cared for. But Manscaped cares about your balls just as much. Go out there and get their platinum package, their lawnmower trimmer, their weed whacker ear nose trimmer, ball deodorant, body wash, 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner, boxer briefs with a special pouch to keep your balls dry and safe, and a travel bag. Get it all because Manscaped will help turning your player into an MVP. And when I say MVP, yeah, you know me, player. Go back to 90s rap for that one. Manscaped.com. Use promo code SteelerNation, all one word, all caps, 20% off your order, free shipping. Easy stuff. Nobody cares about balls more than Manscaped. Manscaped.com for all of your private part needs. Thank you, Manscaped. And thanks for promoting our show, or sponsoring our show. We always love that stuff as well. So I did want to talk about Freiermuth also being banged up with a foot. He missed some time in the game, but he came back. It looks like he's probably going to be practicing this week. So we'll have to see how that goes. Slash Steel, please, not an internal hire. Yeah, I'm starting to run on that line as well, Slash. We've been doing internal hire after internal hire after internal hire, subbing in coaches as like a quarterbacks coach, as a assistant coach here and there, and just promoting them like we did with Sweet Feet when frickin' Munchak left the team, and that was a bad promotion. Sometimes internal promotion is not the way to go. I mean, I heard them say things like the way that they drafted Kenny Pickett. We scoured the entire world and found that our best quarterback that we could pick up was right here in Pittsburgh. Now, I want to see them doing that with every position coach they pick up, not just internal hires, because we've got to start making sure that these guys can play, because we did it with Butler. We saw it happen with Butler, though Butler still kept us leading the league in sacks every single year. He was defensive coordinator. Austin did not. This is our first year in 5 years that we haven't led the league in sacks. That happens. Absolutely happens. Quitta. Yes, on Haley. Yeah, right? Let's bring him back. Absolutely bring him. Slash, of course. The one and only. I knew it was you, Slash. Always love it. And Slash also knows how to ask questions about the podcast. Podcast is a pre-recorded, though, if you're subscribed to our YouTube channel. I do upload and run it live usually, just so I have a backup with it in case something goes wrong. But to ask questions, you go to SteelerNation.com, sign up for the football forum, which is free. There is a thread on there right now asking questions for the podcast. Shoot on over there. Join us. Join the great conversation over there and get your questions answered by me on Friday. And I usually get to all of them. Absolutely get to all of them. Oh, dang it. That jumped on me. Slash. I had your other question right here, and I just slipped out of it. All right, backup outside linebacker has an ailing back issue, so Ola might replace him. Yeah, Reed's had an issue, yes. So if Reed comes off the roster, Ola will replace him. Good point, Slash. Absolutely spot on that one. Hidden, nice to meet you from Japan. Excellent. Konnichiwa. Thank you for joining the show. That is awesome. We are big anime fans in my family, my brother and I. My brother gives me his subscription to Crunchyroll, so I'm at least up on that. Now watching Chainsaw Man. So I've got lots of interest, multiple interests from all around the world, but always love Japanese animation. It's a cream of the crop. Absolutely cream of the crop. Nux, thoughts on Rudolph in Canada? Yep, been talking about it all show. Canada might not be back next year. Rudolph, I'd be fine if he starts. New York in the house. Yeah, New Yorkers, how you doing? I'm walking here. I hear yous. All right, good to see a Steelers fan on the show. Always good to have all of Steeler Nation here on the show. And, of course, I jumped it again. Slash again, I think they should promote Flores to Now, that would be a good internal promotion. Yes. Hell, I'd take Flores as our offensive coordinator at this point. He knows football. I will put him anywhere he wants to be on this coaching staff. Even at head coach. I know Robert would be fine with Flores becoming head coach if we ended up trading Tomlin. That would be a great internal promotion for that one. O-line. Yes, Unc. I'm with you on that one. If that's the draft scenario we're going to, definitely down for O-line. Here we go. Robert Joe Hayden was offered from a team he didn't really want to play for, so he declined it, by the way. And I said assistant defensive backs coach for him, and then he could have suited up and helped that one. That's not the way it works in the NFL. If you're a coach, you cannot play anymore. So you cannot just suit up. He'd have to quit, retire as a coach, be off for a week or two, and then come back as a player if we wanted to do something like that. So like back in the old days, yes, we had player coaches all the time, but he did not want to coach this year. So he never offered it, never heard any talk about it, but I'd be fine with having him next year. Absolutely would if that's what he wants to do. Steelers have had coaches change from coach to player midseason before. Joe Hayden would not be the first. Yeah, we're talking about pre-Super Bowl era. Definitely. Happened all the time. And also actually players coaches back then, but there are rules now where you cannot be a coach and player at the same time. OBJ still needs a home. Cough, cough, nudge, nudge. Are you going to say no, boss? I know you. No, I love OBJ. I think he's got all the talent in the world. Steelers were going to draft him that year. Tomlin loved OBJ that year. I think that was the year that we ended up picking up Shazier because OBJ went in the top 10. But yeah, I'd be fine having OBJ on the team. I'm surprised he's not on a team yet. I'm surprised. Slash Steel, I think they dropped one spot with the Chicago pick. They dropped one spot. I know Chicago right now is the second worst team in the league, so they own technically the 33rd pick in the draft currently. Why? Because the 32nd pick, which normally is a first-round pick, which is now the first pick of the second round, which belongs to Houston, would have been a pick for the Miami Dolphins, which they got ripped from them when they were trying to pick up Sean Payton, skirting the rules when they still had Flores, and Flores' lawsuit is part of that CF as well. So we got to have to see how that goes. Mason, yes. Craig, I hate it when this thing just keeps popping up. There we go. Like Brady's. I hear you. Uncle, I see them as the Rooneys gave up Dan Marino, is hoping to not make the same mistake again. If you're talking about for drafting a Pittsburgh kid, that's a completely different thing because Dan Rooney is no longer alive. Dan Rooney was the one that was felt bad about not picking up Marino, as well as Art Rooney Sr., the chief. Those two guys were the ones that lamented it. Nobody currently on the team or ownership was still part of that decision-making back then. And the reason why we didn't touch Danny is because he was in our city and we knew he liked the blow. And it was mid-'80s. So we didn't know if this guy could be a quarterback or not, or if he was just going to enjoy nose candy the rest of his life. He could have been a Ryan Leaf. You never know. Steelers did their due diligence. Unfortunately, their player never got to see the field because of a car accident. That's the way that one unfortunately shaped out. But I don't think that was the reason why they picked up Kenny Pickett. He was definitely the best quarterback in last year's draft. I did a breakdown over at SteelerNation.com. When you guys want to ask questions, come on over, see my thread where I compare Kenny Pickett to all of the quarterbacks, the top 5 quarterbacks this season. And he compares well. absolutely compares well when you compare him to all of the top 5 quarterbacks. Well, top 4 quarterbacks, I included him as the 5th because the other 4 were all Heisman candidates. Kenny Pickett had better completions, attempts, more yardage, more touchdowns than any of those quarterbacks. And they were all Heisman candidates this year. If Kenny played this year, had those stats, he'd be a Heisman candidate. And the previous year, Kenny's stats out of the top 5, Howell, Ritter, Willis, and there's one other guy I'm forgetting that were in the top 5 with him, but his passing stats blew them all out of the water. That was like a rushing quarterback draft last year. All their rushing stats blew Kenny's out of the water. All those rushers, all the quarterbacks last year in the top 5, other than Kenny, had over 100 rushing attempts. Kenny still had 97 rushing attempts in his final season. Still a lot. But you come to this season, you got like 3 that are under 50. So it's like, this is a completely different draft class. This is a passing draft class. Last year's was a rushing draft class. We'll have to see which ones make out better. All right, what we got? Robert! It's commonplace public that OBJ and girls... yeah, I'm not getting into the poop stuff. Oh, yeah. Yep. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, and we probably did not have a position open, or who knows if they interviewed at the right time, but I hope the Steelers do interview good people and bring in the best people. Let's knock back these internal hires. Let's agree on that, Robert. Michael Hall, I'm heading out early. I'll watch the rest of the show later tonight. 30-10 Pitt over Carolina. Thank you very much, Michael Hall. I know you'll be checking that out, and I'd love to hear your thoughts too on the final score. What's up, nation? What's up, Wald? Good to hear from all you guys over here. Twitter, Instagram's being very active as well. Daniel, any way we can make the playoffs? Let me look at the standings quickly, and I can tell you very quickly whether or not whether or not we're going to be in the hunt this year at all. So Steelers going on are now 5-8. The most they can win is 9 games. So I'm got to look at the teams that are up for it. We have to look for because the Dolphins have 8 wins, Patriots have 7, Jets have 7. All 3 of those have a tiebreak on us. Not winning our division now because both the Ravens and Bengals are at 9 wins. They're probably going to win 1 more this season. They're going to be in the playoffs. Titans are at 7, but they're their division lead. That's not much of the matchup. The rest of that division is dog shit. So looking at the, we have to have a better record than the Chargers, who have 7 wins, and the Patriots and Jets that have 7 wins. And I think that would get us in, because the Dolphins currently have 8. They're probably going to make it in with 9 wins. So we have to supplant all 3 of these 7-win teams. So we probably have to win out, and all 3 of them have to basically lose out, or at least only make it to 8 wins. Like Patriots can only win 8. If they get to 9 wins, we're done. Jets get to 9 wins, we're done. That's what knocks us out of the playoffs. So if Dolphins win 1 more game, which they're at 8, that takes one of those seeds away from us. And then if the Patriots and Jets get to 9 wins, we are out because they have the tiebreak on us. We cannot tie their record and make it to the playoffs unless the tiebreak record within their division does something. But it has to be too many of them to do that. So no matter what, I think they're making the playoffs, and we're probably going to be odd man out. But it's very, very slim. Kenny is the real deal. You need to give him a shot. Yes, I will give him the shot as long as he has complete mental acuity and no concussion. I love having Kenny in there. This week, it looks like he might not play. Noah, we can make the playoffs if we win the rest of our games and the Ravens and Bengals lose, correct? Ravens and Bengals are at 9 wins. I got to see their extended record at NFL.com, because right now I just got the frickin' standings from Google. So that didn't do it well enough. There we go. Now I can see the divisional record. Ravens are 3-0. Steelers are 1-3. Best we can do is 3-3. We need everybody to lose out. everybody to lose out because Bengals still have 2 wins, only have 2 right now. Browns have 2, but they're playing each other. So not looking good. Ravens are probably going to win one more divisional game because they still get to play Browns once, still get to play us once, get to play Cincy once too, probably. So that's the way that's probably going to go. Peace, Michael Hall. Love you, brother. Next week, next boss. Great show as always. Thank you very much. I always appreciate that, guys. George, Chargers, New England, the Jets need to lose 3 and the Steelers need to win out. That's exactly it. That's essentially it. Yeah, the 7-win teams have to essentially lose out or can't get to 9 wins. The Steelers have to win out for us to make the playoffs. So I think the division, at least the division, is out, Noah. Slash, Kenny is one of the best statistically under pressure. I think he's going to be good when it's all said and done. I do too. You know, it's his first year. He's having a normal first year for a rookie quarterback. We've been spoiled, Steeler Nation. Our last rookie quarterback that we needed to start was Ben Roethlisberger. And what did he do? Win his first 15 games he ever stepped on the field for. That was insane. Or 13. I think he had a 13-game win streak up through the end of the season and then got to the playoffs, won his first game, lost in the AFC Championship game. That was a hell of a year. That was a hell of a ride. You're not going to see that ever again, Steeler Nation. I mean, I know it would be nice to have seen and ride with Kenny Pickett all the way to the playoffs, but unfortunately, this is realisticness, and Kenny is a good quarterback. I've liked what I've seen so far. I like his poise in the pocket. I like him getting to the edge, still looking downfield, but will throw the ball out of bounds. And that's something that took Ben years to learn to avoid taking a loss. Took Ben years to learn that. We many others hate Kenny, and I was told he is in concussion protocol. Yes, he's in concussion protocol currently. So until he starts practicing fully 2 times in a row without any setbacks, that is how he clears protocol. If you can't practice twice fully this week, he's not playing. So we'll find out tomorrow if he's practicing at all. And George, and we lost too many AFC games to win tiebreakers. Absolutely right. Yeah, we have to be the cheese that stands alone. Have to have a lot of teams to lose for us to make it in. You're definitely right about that, George. Yeah, Richards, I'm not going live tonight. I've got too many platforms going on. No, we need to get rid of Matt Canada so bad. We'll see how the rest of the season goes, but I think he's on the hot seat. I definitely think he's on the hot seat. We need a new quarterback, Jay. Well, I know we're going to have Kenny Pickett back next year. Trubisky's contract this year as well is very friendly since he's going to be a backup. I think that's probably going to be some of the reasoning. Maybe. I think we just figured it out on the show, guys. That might be some of the reasoning for the Steelers to go with Rudolph this next game to make sure Kenny does not hit his 60% mark to get paid $14 million as opposed to being paid, what is it, $7 or $8 million. That's the way his contract's written. And $7 or $8 million is not a bad price to pay for a good backup. Not a bad price to pay at all. And I'm all for paying that. So we'll have to see how that shakes out. Evan Dog, do we expect Kenny to play again this season? Yes, fully expect Kenny to play again this season. He just has to clear his concussion and be 100%. Steelers already know he had a concussion earlier this year, worked his way back from it quickly. This is his second one, same season. And, you know, yeah, he bounced his dome off the turf. It's still grass field. Although it's cold grass, it wasn't frozen grass. Ben didn't have his dome back. He bounced his dome off a freaking Mazda making a Pittsburgh left. He came back that season. Kenny's not as strong and as tough as Ben. So we've got to handle him with some kid gloves here in his rookie season to make sure his concussion issues don't become chronic. We don't want chronic concussion issues. Magnan, welcome back to the show, my friend. Striker, do the Steelers have all of their draft picks this year? Don't remember if any have been traded away. Yes, some have been traded away. I think the 5th and the 6th have been traded away this year. Steelers 2023 draft picks. But we have an extra second rounder because of that trade of Claypool to there. So there's my draft picks team draft page here, which I think shows our picks. That's for last year, 2023. And now it's throwing up all these pop-ups. I don't need to see that crap. That's the wrong page. Steelers the mock draft database. I think this is the one I usually use. Yes, they're missing only their 5th rounder this year. We have a 1st rounder, 2 2nd rounders, Chicago's pick, which right now is sitting kindly at pick number 33. Hopefully it maintains. We have a 3rd rounder, 4th rounder, no 5th. We have a 6th rounder and a 7th rounder. So that's the way we shake out this year. Fingers crossed. But we've got 3, which may be in the top 50. That would be pretty amazing. Unk, my first time here, but love your show. Thank you, Unk. Oh, much love to you and cheers to you, Steeler Nation. Another sip of my non-alcoholic brew as I've given up drinking. Draft shows might not be as crazy since I'm not going to be drinking every draft show like I do. Because I used to drink every time the Steelers drafted someone. I'd cheers a beer and drink it with all the people on the show. We'd celebrate the new Steeler joining the team. This year, and when it got to day 3, I mean, you're talking about me drinking 8 beers during the course of a day. 4, 5, 6, 7. So we usually have about 5 picks, and then I'd start drinking, doing a bunch then with the undrafted rookie free agents. I just get crazy. But probably not going to happen as much like it did last year. I was much better last year as well, a little bit more professional, but had a blast with it. Highly recommend you guys checking that out. It's a fun way to do the draft as well, because I'll talk about anything. You guys know, and I've lived a long life, done lots of things, and it's just fun to share and talk about all sorts of stuff. Kenny will be back this week, next week at work. I think he'll be back next week, Really, I do. I'm not, just from Mike Tomlin's body language and his voice tone didn't seem like he was optimistic in Kenny coming back. Kenny probably still has some concussion symptoms going on right now. So if he's not practicing Wednesday, I will just go out on a limb and say he won't play this week. Claude, we need run stoppers in the next draft. Well, losing Wormley killed us too. Wormley's out for the season now. He's one of our big run stoppers, and he's amazing at it. Loudermilk's working his way back. Leal's working his way back. Shit. Anytime you have to see the Steelers move Hayward to nose tackle, you know something's wrong. Something's wrong because he's not good at it. That we gave up a touchdown on one of his snaps. We gave up a 44-yard run on another one of his snaps. Hayward should never be at nose tackle. Ever. We need to find some big bodies in the draft on day 3. You can get them. You can get a great nose tackle, 3rd round, 4th round. I'm with you on that, Robert. I think that's the way we need to go. But we're not going to draft a nose. Because a lot of say we need a defensive lineman in the draft. We have ends. We've got Hayward wrapped up for another 2 years. We've got Loudermilk 3 more years or 2 more years on his contract. We got Leal for another 3. That's our line. Those are our starters. They're starter capables. Still bring back Wormley. Possibly bring back Okunjobi. Don't know if he's going to work out. But we've got to flex somebody to being a run stopper because other teams have run stoppers and they do just damn fine against us. Absolutely. Ravens always have a guy that looks like he can drink beer the entire time he's out there playing nose tackle and feed him hot dogs and hamburgers the entire time. Just like a Casey Hampton, a big snack. We need another one of those guys again. Past Steelers coaches have done it. Yes, they have. Thank you, Stryker, for mentioning the truth about why they chose not to pick Danny. Yeah, it was the nose candy on Danny. We all know that. We're old enough to remember that. And that was back before Twitter, guys, because, you had to get that inside information talking to, people in the Steelers organization in 1984. Very few articles would be coming out about that type of thing. Some local articles would come out because we'd have some local guys saying stuff, and then the national people would not touch it. Absolutely wouldn't touch it because they knew Marino was first-round pick caliber player. George, I really enjoyed your draft show last year. Thanks, Stryker. And don't worry, I'll drink for you. Awesome. We'll have to see where I am in my drinking at that time. I might have to have a beer or 2. We'll have to see where I'm at. I'm doing it for my heart, guys. That's the biggest thing. Not eating meat mostly because of my heart as well. That was a terrible game. Way too many turnovers. Jay, you hit the nail on the head. Turnovers kill this team, and I said it going into the season. We got to win the turnover battle. Can't turn the ball over, and we got to keep the defense, got to keep the other team under 20. We did it this game. We didn't have 3 turnovers. We would have scored over 20. We would have won this game against their third quarterback, no matter how good they were running, if we didn't turn the ball over 3 times and get a field goal blocked. Big things. Big plays against us. You can chug a Shirley Temple now. Yeah, thanks, Slash. You son of a bitch. That's why we love our Steeler Nation guys, man. What up, Tyler? Good to hear from you too, man. Malone, nose candy propelled him to a 5,000-yard rookie season, right? Back in Pittsburgh beating us in the AFC Championship game. That kid had that's like one of those other rookie seasons that are like Big Ben's. Big Ben and Marino, the only rookies to ever make it to a championship game in their rookie seasons. Phenomenal. And probably would have been just as good behind the Steelers, because the Steelers made the AFC Championship game that year, though Malone was our quarterback that year, that season, because Terry had already ruined his elbow, couldn't come back at that point. So that's just the way it works out, guys. That's about all the time. We hit 8 o'clock, guys. Gonna say goodnight to both of you, because I would take a video once I got off the air, but my daughter is sick and I got to go upstairs and put her to bed. So she's had a fever last couple days, fluctuating between like 99 and 103. So gonna make sure she's at a good temperature and feeling good before going down to bed. So I got to jump off the cast. But guys, always thank you so much for making this cast what it is: fun, topical, and a conversation. And that's what I love about all you guys. Last chance to chime in, guys, on that thing, because you get last word when I'm done reading down through my stuff. Make sure you come on over to SteelerNation.com to check out all of our great Pittsburgh Steeler-focused articles. That's where my podcast is. That's where everything is, and the vidcast. There's links to even watching this one there. If you want to see it in its entirety, or if you missed part of it, you can always jump in there. Yeah, you guys still have the cat cam over here on Instagram. You guys have no idea on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, but the cat cam is still going strong on Instagram. But be sure to come on over and subscribe to our YouTube channel /Steeler Nation. That's where I record live. You get notifications. That's why we got all of our regulars popping up. They know when I'm coming on to record, and we have an awesome conversation. So join us over on YouTube /Steeler Nation. Subscribe to that as well. You can tweet us at Steeler Nation, Instagram and Facebook at SteelerNation.com. Follow the podcast on Twitter at _SN Podcast. And follow your host, Steeler Nation Striker, on the tweets, on the grams, on the tickety talks at SN Striker, spelled with a Y. I'll get to posting something here soon. We're at the end of the season for me work-wise, so I should start doing some social media here soon. Give me something to do in my old age. But thank you once again, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us on the Steeler Nation podcast, sponsored by Total Sports Enterprises, part of the Big Play podcast Vidcast network. Be sure to go to Total Sports Enterprises, tscshop.com. Awesome signed merchandise for all the Pittsburgh teams: Pirates, Penguins, Steelers. Great stuff over there. tscshop.com. Follow them on Twitter at Total Sports Enterprises, at Total Sports ENT, to get free swag all the time. Trubisky is the best. I know you love them, Bearded. No, you love them. So thanks a lot again for joining us on the Steeler Nation vidcast. I'm your host, G.Stryker, rooting along with you as always. Go Steelers!